Got it.
And welcome back to Black Balance Fitness TV presents the Financial Fitness Forum, Interview with the Boss. Allow me to introduce our special guest for tonight. You've seen her before on this very show. Unfortunately, her video could not be uploaded, so tonight we will be refilming her interview with all new questions. As a former athlete, this highly educated young entrepreneur from Team Gitmo is an up-and-coming associate producer looking to quickly make a name for herself in the industry and the agency as one of 2021's newest FA junior brokers, Miss Alyssa Mazur. Welcome to the show, Alyssa, and thank you for being here tonight.
Demetria, thank you for giving me another chance to do this.
Absolutely.
I love doing stuff like this. So I am part of Gitmo, which is Giants in the Making organization. And my uplines are Dan and Marsha Elias. They are amazing. And Dan is the reason that I actually got involved in this because I was very iffy at first. My background, as you know, I was an athlete. But I was an athlete up until basically my junior year of high school when I tore my shoulder and was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So, that stopped me from being able to really play sports. And I was heartbroken. But then the worst part happened 3 months and 28 days before I finished high school, and I lost my mom. And I realized that I didn't necessarily know how to take care of myself personally without having to go and, reach out to family. So, I did go through college. I have a bachelor's and I have a master's, but my master's degree didn't get me anywhere. And I was like, I need something. What am I going to do? I'm not going to just twiddle my thumbs. So, I was introduced to the financial services. And I am so glad because my schooling background is in social work where I can help people. But I can still help people, just not by sitting in a room and saying, so tell me, how are you feeling?
Right.
Instead, I can still have conversations with people and use my humor, which I like to use, and just put what I did learn in school to use, because I was in school for 10 years. So I put that to use in the financial services realm.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Alyssa, for telling your story. I would love to hear you tell your story because I find it truly inspiring. And I think that you going into this profession and deciding to help people even after all that you've been through yourself is so noble. And I'm absolutely so glad to meet you and be working with you.
You're making me blush.
I think that you have a unique insight into, what it really takes to fight through tough times, and I think you got a strong spirit, and you'll definitely go far.
Thank you.
I'm glad
Thank
that
you.
you came back on the show today, and I am excited to get into these questions. We came up with all new questions for you this time.
Yay!
So let's delve right in. Alyssa, describe for us the top 3 greatest qualities of an effective leader.
The top 3 qualities. Number 1, listening. Because you can't be a leader if you are just going to be the only one talking. You can't be effective because if you want to lead people, you need to know exactly what the people are looking for. So being able to listen, being able to also be accountable for screw ups. Because the last thing you want to do as a leader is be like, okay, so this happens and it's my fault, but I'm gonna say, you know, Joe Schmo did it. Not good. And just, I mean, making sure that as a leader, you don't let you leave your stuff outside. Like, if you have something that's going on in your own life, excuse me, you don't bring it into your work or to leading people, because who wants a leader that's gonna be all like, oh, I just had a fight with my boyfriend or my girlfriend and I can't be effective. No, doesn't work like that.
Right, absolutely. For sure. And I think that works the other way around too. Vice versa. Don't take your work home with you. You're supposed to, like, it's cool to ask how your day was and to vent maybe a little bit if there was like a particularly tough, you know, subject, but your spouse or your friend does not want to hear every day you complaining about your co-workers and your colleagues and everything that happened that day and every objection you ran into, and just constantly with the negative nagging. Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. Yeah, do not bring your work home, and vice versa. Do not bring your home life to work.
No Debbie Downers, please.
Sure. Absolutely. I think that is very, very important. I think we touched on that last time, separating your personal beliefs and your personal, you know, business from your workings with your colleagues and the people that you're dealing with every day, because that can definitely cause conflict. And I love that you brought up listening and accountability. Oh my gosh, those are huge when it comes to leadership. A lot of leaders, when it comes to accountability, can be very egotistical. When I understand, you know, that, you know, each person has to be responsible for themselves and their actions and things like that. But, you know, as a leader, you take a little bit more of that responsibility. You know, being athletes, I'll use a sports reference. You know, they always say it's the players win and the coaches lost. So as a leader, you kind of have to understand where you go wrong in a situation. Like, I understand, you know, yeah, so as far as, you know, accountability, you know, you can't be egotistical, and listening. That's a lot with ego too. You know, leading doesn't necessarily mean that you're just speaking at someone or just telling them what to do. Isn't necessarily being a leader.
No.
A lot more, you know, listening and processing what that person is going through, so that you can pinpoint a root issue rather than just speaking whatever you think over their life. You know.
And people want to be heard. Like, and I mean, it's said that if, you know, the number one thing that, you know, people like to do is talk about themselves. And that's true, but to be a leader, you need to know when to talk about you and when to listen about it from others.
Right. Absolutely. I was listening to How to Win Friends and Influence People on Audible today, and that was one of the subjects of the chapters, was, you know, listening more than you talk, and that you can really win people over by delving more into who they are and their interests than into your own. So absolutely, definitely sit with that for sure. Okay.
I mean, I was just gonna say, I met my friend of 20 years, her fiance, And I met him the other day. I didn't know anything. I didn't know him from Adam. I mean, his name is David, but I didn't know him from Adam.
Right.
But I was just sitting here and asking him a bunch of questions because my friend, I've known for 20 years. I didn't need to ask her questions like where she went to school, what she did, what she does now, and blah, blah. I didn't need to ask for that. So I was literally asking David 20 questions because that's how you start any sort of relationship. And I mean, I say relationship, just friendship, acquaintanceship, conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Alyssa, I want to ask about digital marketing. I know that with your condition, you work exclusively from home. So tell us, what steps do you take to analyze trends in the digital marketplace?
I don't actually, I'm going to be honest, I don't really analyze anything. I just, the way, to be totally honest, the way it would work is that I would get another license from another state because I would bring somebody on, and because I'm then, I have my non-resident license and I can have business written in that state, I would just start looking for people looking for work or, entrepreneurs in specific states. I don't really truly understand the trends. I feel like my ability to do this is kind of luck, because I really don't know. And I've been out of the world, you could say. I've been in my house for so much that I almost am like, dude, I don't know what is going on. Like, I only know what's going on outside because it's what people tell me.
Right. And you know what? I think that's really a lot more understandable than it used to be with the current circumstances and such. But I think that your strategy of looking more towards expansion rather than analyzing and trying to go with new trends and things is actually pretty smart. A lot of times trends and fads can trail off fast or lead to something that your business that isn't quite good for your business. So absolutely, if you have a process that works and allows you to expand your territory, absolutely.
I never ever liked trends growing up. Like my clothing, I never was into fads and trends and things. It's like, I just do me.
Absolutely. For sure. It's important to kind of stay in your lane and just be yourself.
Yeah.
I think you come across a little bit more original and unique when you don't try to kind of keep up with the popular, crowd. So
Yeah.
You can absolutely understand where you're coming from with that. So tell me this: what is your process for meeting a difficult deadline?
My process for procrastinating.
That's not a process.
I procrastinate. I got through grad school with procrastination.
Okay, so now we're gonna teach people what not to do.
Yeah. Let's not listen to Alyssa and what you should do. Take my example. That's what you shouldn't do. But no, I mean, because my thing is, again, as an athlete, I was always like, like the 3 seconds of the game and having to make the shot. So I just had this mentality that when it comes closer to a deadline, I don't know, I just subconsciously start to push harder. So as I said, do not listen to me on how to do this.
Don't wait
Please.
for the shot clock, guys.
No.
Absolutely. Okay, so Alyssa, do this for me.
Okay.
Name some of the most underutilized financial resources.
Whoa. Wow. That's
I asked you to name some of the most underutilized financial resources.
and I said, whatever you do, do not say your family. And don't say a bank. But I mean, I guess the internet these days is probably the most. It teaches you the most. Or like going on YouTube and looking at videos of, like, for example, Money Smart Matt Sapala, who is with PHP, and he, I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Because he's been in the financial, in this field for a long time. But I know that, like, personally, yeah, you know what? From every aspect of where I have gone in life and all the social services I've used, like the Department of Rehabilitation, Social Security, even and like, wow, who is Miss Popular today? These social services that should be helpful, they're really not.
That's for
because
sure.
Because the people you're talking to are people like you and me. So, a lot of them learn what to do by, studying, or by classes they have to take to have the job, by reading, things like that. I mean, that's really all I could. Yeah, there's really nothing. There's no services out there.
I like what you said, for sure. The internet definitely underutilized resources when it comes to financial resources. Most of us, I think the majority of us, walk around with a tiny computer in our hands, in our pockets, in our purses all day, and never think, maybe I could learn a little bit more about finances. Before I came into the financial industry in PHP, I had thoughts of, I should look at life insurance. I should talk to a financial advisor. I should do this. I should do that. But it was like there aren't that many resources out there, and that I could find. And then the resources that I did find at the bank or at the school didn't teach enough of things that would actually help me, and things that I could actually invest in at the level that I was at the time. So then, it kind of, if you don't look for other financial professionals, like you said, it's so easy to go on YouTube, Instagram, anything, and watch a video from Mr. Matt Sapala, or any of our professionals that are up there. We have interview shows. Mr. Tosh Blair has an interview show. There's a lot of people that do YouTube shows and videos and things about finances and about your options. Not to mention, we do a lot of digital marketing where we reach out to people. We make posters and flyers and cold calls and things like that, and people don't waste the time to pay. And then you look crazy when something happens and you don't have, and you're like, oh, well, no one will help you. Well, it's kind of too late now. We try to reach out to you before. So, absolutely. I think that what you touched on was was spot on. Sure.
Thank you.
So tell me this, how do you adapt your leadership style to accommodate colleagues and clientele with different needs?
You really just have to meet a person where they're at. That is something I learned in grad school with counseling people, with counseling somebody. Like I have my first year internship when I was in grad school, I had a kid that was in counseling because he was on probation. He had been caught tagging that he had then called, it was called graffiti art is what he called it. But in my first session with him, he would not talk to me because to him, you know, I look like I'm an authority. So I went to my supervisor and I asked for a pad of paper and Sharpies. So for that semester that I was seeing that kid, he went from keeping his mouth shut in the first session to me having our sessions be that he was talking to me through his drawing. And it got to the point when I said we were done because the school year was done. He was all bummed that I was leaving. He gave me a hug. And he was like, why do you have to go? So you've got to, again, build rapport. Like that's the first step, is to build rapport with somebody. And that allows you to meet them where they are. And then any sort of difficult situation can really just work itself out. And you have to be patient for it to do that. You know, I didn't know that the kid was going to really, that it was really going to work. That I was like, here, talk to me through your drawing. I was a total, like, pull it out of thin air. But like, I did meet him where he was. And he became comfortable with me because I showed him he could be. I met him there. I met him in his comfort. And that's what you've got to do, is you've got to meet somebody in their comfort zone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. Patience is key, and you definitely have to meet people where they're at until you gain, trust and comfortability, like you said, for sure. And then, just accommodating people a lot of times can just be as simple as, just letting someone express themselves how they feel, or, asking for their idea on a project or something like that. Especially when it comes to leadership. A few months back when we had a big event, there was a lot of talk about like the 5 love languages and how it akins to your work colleagues and what ways you can implement it at work to get a better result from your colleagues and your sidelines, your downlines, things like that. And so especially when it comes to like trainees and things like that, a lot of people lose people because they don't show enough gratitude or appreciation or concern, or they don't understand what a person wants in that manner.
Yeah.
Somebody might be cool with the, hey, good job today, but another person might be a little bit more than that.
Right.
Like so it just depends. So for sure, I understand what you mean. So let me ask you, how important are diversity and inclusion in business and leadership?
Absolutely. Like, even just with PHP, with the what was that report that came out?
The DEI.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. Because at one point, because of my skin color, I was top of the pops. And nowadays, I'm not. You know, like now, Hispanics are more of a majority than white people. And, you know, you can't look at statistics necessarily and bring people in because of that. Like, you need to be inclusive because this world has changed. We don't live in a place where it is just all white people or all black people or all Hispanic or Asian, or you can't. It's just, you cannot be, you have to be inclusive, because all that'll happen if you're not is you'll make people very mad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think diversity and inclusion are definitely very important in business. I think that it allows people to feel comfortable enough to help their friends and their families and their communities.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times with particular groups, they kind of wonder if there's a place for them. And one thing I love about PHP is, you know, it's set up to where, you know, there's a place for everybody. You know, you gotta compete for it, but it's an even playing field, and you know, pretty much get out there and make it happen. I think that the services that we offer, with us coming from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different belief systems, it also allows us to specialize, so we can help more people. You know, someone who is, you know, married with children is definitely going to be able to help someone figure out what's the best policy for them. You know, someone who is in an alternate style relationship would know the parameters of, you know, what needs to go on an application for an adopted child, you know, or something
Right.
like that. You know, it really, like, one of the things that I really love is that at our last virtual event, they had where you could put Spanish, you know, speaking, where the speakers it would translate automatically, translate into Spanish, and I thought that was so cool. And I can't wait until they're able to implement other languages, because there's a large majority of the Asian population that speak Mandarin. You can get several different cultures of Asian peoples that speak and understand Mandarin. French will give you, you know, most of Europe and half of Africa, you know. So just, you know, because a lot of people in those regions speak French. So it just, you know, it really opens the doors not only for inclusivity, but also for specialization. And that's what I love about how diverse PHP is, because you can come in and build for yourself and your family. You don't have to feel uncomfortable about
Being different
from your target market, or, you know, how you choose to run your business, or who you choose to market to, and things like that. And it opens the door for so many more possibilities, you know.
That is true, and I honestly think that because people it's fear of the stranger. Some people are uncomfortable and get scared being around different people and differences.
Absolutely.
But when you're on the computer, it's a computer. So even if you see a picture and the person is Asian, okay, so, and you're black, it doesn't mean anything, because you're on a computer. And it'll be interesting, like, it'll be interesting with now that the world is open, or opening. It'll be interesting to see how different groups are able to meld together because they are now out in the world and not just behind a computer screen.
Absolutely. Yeah, coming from California, it's a huge melting pot. So, we get a little bit of everybody in this business. And I just love how Fred went through at our last training and kind of compared the census to our numbers in the agency, and how vastly different it was. It showed a whole different outlook on what we think the financial industry, business owners, entrepreneurs look like, act like.
Yeah.
So I think that diversity and inclusion in business is definitely important and valuable to consider.
I agree. And I believe it or not, I also think that everything that has been going on in the entertainment industry these last few years, like that, because everybody, media is always what people turn to, and it's almost like, well, if famous people are being more inclusive, so why can't, like, it almost gives permission for regular or financial people to be like that as well, because we follow the celebs.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do follow popular culture and things like that. I think one of the biggest parts of inclusion that people don't really give enough thought to is that inclusion, it means also to when you decide to be accepting and tolerable of other people's beliefs, you have to also accept that someone may not accept your belief or believe in your belief or believe the same beliefs that you do.
Right.
When you have a business of inclusion, you have to understand that some people only want to be included in some areas and not others. Some people want to be able to include a certain group. Some people, want to, not be included at all.
Right.
So it just
Right.
depends on, like you said, knowing your crowd, knowing your people, and meeting people where they're at.
And not taking it personal.
Exactly, because it's really not personal. It's really more just preference.
Exactly.
Diversity and inclusion gives us options.
It does.
For sure. So tell me, Alyssa, what is your strategy to maintain organization and efficiency in your business?
Well, get my new computer, because then I can actually save things on it properly. Because when I was in grad school, I learned how to actually be very organized with all of the papers that I had printed out for my master's case study, my thesis. So I learned how to actually have things properly organized. And I think that's the best thing, is the fact that I am organized when it comes to my work. And I feel like I'm so not organized right now because this computer that I use, it doesn't even work. Half the time it'll just freeze while I'm in the middle of a Zoom call.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that that's important when it comes to organization. Having your technology up to date and running efficiently is super important for a business owner.
Yeah, and eventually, I will have myself a BSc who will be doing a lot of the organization.
It's really important. I've actually, decided to invest in some of the external hard drives and things like that. I definitely need to make sure I back up everything I have and make sure double down on securities and firewalls and stuff like that, especially as the channel and the website and all begins to grow more and more. It's definitely become important for me to, stay up on the latest technology and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
for sure. So tell me this, Alyssa, how do you maintain a good relationship with a colleague who may have opposing views?
Hmm. That's a good question, because regardless of if somebody has an opposing view from mine, I'm pretty good at meeting somebody, like, I guess you'd say halfway, or meeting somebody with their views, as long as they don't all of a sudden start trying to blame me for certain things because of my views, because I'm never going to blame somebody else because of their views. But it also gives you a good learning, a good chance to learn. And I've definitely come in contact with a bunch of different people, and I love learning, and that was part of the reason that I continued to get a grad degree, because I liked learning, and that's why my favorite part are the books of the month that we get and all the reading, because I'm a sponge. I like to learn. So, I'm not going to ever judge somebody because of them. Like, if something is wrong or different, just because they may end up not liking something about me either. So why would I put that out there? Like, get to know me for who I am. Forget about my sexual preference or my religion or this or that, the other thing. Just get to know me as a person, and you might actually like me.
Absolutely. I totally understand where you're coming from. For a different reason. I have very strong views and opinions, and they are usually very unpopular. But I love people. I love to know people. I like to hang out with people. I've had all different kinds of friends. I've traveled all over the world. I went to 5 different high schools. Like, I have never, settled in one place. I've met all different kinds of people from all different kinds of places, and it doesn't change my views on myself, and my culture, and like it doesn't hinder me or stop me from the things that I believe. But a lot of times I can see that my beliefs or opinions on things can offend other people. And it's unfortunate because I don't get offended by people's views of the things that I might do or be into or things like that. But I also understand what you say. Like, I don't want someone to think that because of who I am that they have to be abrasive or aggressive, or they need to try to change my mind or anything like that. Like, I'm not judging you. Like, I have my own beliefs and views and opinions based on my own life experiences, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you or your life or your choices or anything like that. Like, you're grown, do your thing. I'm grown, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm not gonna force my thing on you, but I'm not gonna let you force your thing on me either. So, so we can do it. I can say my name, you can say your name, we do our things, on the side. But like, I don't, you know, that's a big thing for me too, is when, you know, people want to like blame you for things that they've gone through in their life because your views align with someone that they dealt with that didn't go well or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
bro, don't know what I got time for all of that. Like, that's too much. So,
It's
sure.
also, it's a lot of tact. You have, and that is a great thing to have learned, is tact. Because people
Something
are
I'm
different.
working on.
What?
Something I'm definitely still working on.
Okay, I mean, I'm not trying to say that you're
I'm very tactful sometimes. If you know, if I become offended, I can sometimes like snap at people or get like snarky, and
okay.
can really rub people the wrong way. You know, nobody likes, you know, a sarcastic answer, you know, a sarcastic comment towards them, especially when it comes to a strong personal belief, like a religious or political view, or a personal lifestyle choice, or something like that. You have a strong opposing viewpoint, and someone gets offended by that, and you know, snap at them or make a snarky comment, like it's just like, you know, asking for it, like all hell breaks loose. So I've been working on being more tactical with, you know, how I respond to certain things, certain comments, and certain energies. But yeah, it's a work in progress.
You know what? But it's good that you can admit that.
Right.
Because, you know, being tactful is definitely something that's a good thing to be. And not everybody has it, but the fact that you're even saying you're learning it, you're coming out of your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
and learning tact, like that's a big deal. That's a big thing.
Absolutely. Yes, because strong opinions come with strong personalities, and yeah, that can be tough for some people to handle, you know. So you gotta know the crowd for one.
Yeah, but just because, you know, like I may not look like I have as strong a personality, because I can be a lot more tactful. That seems to be my favorite word today. But I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to explain how I've survived almost 38 years.
Right.
Because of the people that I come in contact with.
Right. With the opposing viewpoints, and I think that you know, sometimes those hard lessons really prepare us for these moments right here, where we're in business and we're reaching out to people and we're dealing with colleagues and we're, you know, such a diverse group. So
yeah,
for sure, and we are for sure a diverse group.
I love that about
our group. Like our CEO's an immigrant from Iran. Our board's council is a Puerto Rican waiter. Our SVP is a white guy from
Jersey.
New Jersey, bartender.
Yeah.
His wife's a California girl. Like, man, like, you know, we got $1 million earners, an immigrant from Nigeria. Like,
yeah.
It's nuts. This ain't like the most ragtag group of misfits, but I'd be damned if we ain't making it, right? So, you know, to see people from all these different diverse backgrounds and working together and building family and friendships and just all the good energy, you know, it's important to learn these, like you said, these tactics and these strategies to working together with people of opposing backgrounds and viewpoints and values. So
yeah,
for sure.
And that's what I missed the most about playing sports, was having a team. But even then, like, the team wasn't very inclusive. It was just, we would get on the ball field, or we would get on in the basketball court. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say I was friends with a bunch of the girls I played with.
Right.
Because I was different. And we just had nothing in common off of the field or out of the gym. But like here, even if we don't have things in common, we have things that we can learn from each other, and I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you this question. This is our last question, actually. Well, not our last, but our last question, as we're getting to the end of this. What can you do to encourage ethical behavior amongst your team members?
Whew.
Right.
Thank you for that question.
Waste of time.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to be unethical if you want to keep your license.
Well, I would beg to differ just because of our platform being like a family business type of thing. We have relationships, we do call outs with each other. I've actually heard things get a little too personal before, and stuff like that. And so I think that how we work with each other in a team, I think that there could be some unethical behavior.
Some blurred lines.
Right. I think there's definitely some blurred lines there when it comes to people working with people helping people. The thing is, we're all brand new, independent entrepreneurs helping each other. But if someone like what we talked about before, opposing values and things like that, if someone doesn't agree with your viewpoints, it doesn't necessarily mesh with your personality, so then they don't necessarily want to spend as much time with you as they do with another team member. So then you don't necessarily get the same or the amount of or the value from the information as the next person. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
A lot of this is self-taught, but a lot of this is learned and passed down from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, especially now because our books that we use to run this business and to learn these concepts has not been updated to include the digital marketing age and a lot of the new things that we've implemented.
No.
When it comes to passing this information along, as far as training person to person, how we run our trainings once we break off from the large group, you know, how we interact with each other beyond that, and then also with everyone being split up and grouped off in different offices. I think that unethical behavior can absolutely be bred and encouraged. I think you can sort of discourage people from that, like you said, we are licensed by each prospective states, so there's definitely the threat of,
losing that
behind it. But a lot of times that can, that can be, like you said, blurred lines. That can be a thin line there.
It's
legal and illegal, between ethical and unethical. So.
Yeah, it's being able to leave your shit at the door. I mean,
right?
but it's different because we're not employed like Dan and Marsha met in PHP.
Right.
And they're married and happy and fantastic.
And it's been actually brought up a lot of times, especially before we go into big events, to, couples, be sure that you're, staying faithful to each other. I've actually heard that a few times, that people to, wives look at your husbands look at your wives. Don't be going around messing around and doing all that. And so
right.
I think that when you work so closely in an environment where things are a little bit freer than they would be in like a corporate environment where you're held to a certain standard and things like that, it's kind of like freestyling a lot because it's a group of independent people working together, and so there's
Right.
a lot of those rules and parameters that we don't have and don't.
No, but those rules or parameters, they should be written within individual people. That, I mean, I would hope that a person is ethical and isn't going to go and cheat on their wife when we're in Vegas at big event,
Right.
because of the alcohol that you can get when you go to a table. So you get free alcohol all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and I think that when it comes to leadership in this business, how you interact with your team members and things like that, I think that you have to try to be, fair and understanding in most cases. And I think that if you have someone that you really clash with, maybe even suggest that person lock in with another type of leader that maybe more suited to work with them, or if you're feeling uncomfortable about working with someone of the opposite or same sex, depending on your preference, and your status, then what I'm saying, things like that. And so with I think that we can encourage ethical behavior between each other by holding our standards and things like that. For our team and things like that. But
it really comes down to communication and accountability. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So
For sure. Oh my gosh, that was such a dynamic interview. Tell us, Alyssa, what advice or expectations would you give to a viewer looking to join your team?
Well, I am going to post all of my information in the comment section after this interview. But don't be scared. Like, you are not alone. You would like, if this is something that you're like jumping off the deep end head first, as opposed to just stepping in with your toe, you're not alone. You're never alone. There are other people that have been here longer or have been here the same amount of time or whatever. I mean, we are very open and accepting of bringing more people on. We really want to bring more people on. We want to be able to help families, and that starts with us.
Sure. Absolutely. So, Alyssa, tell the viewers, how can they get in contact?
Well, as I said, I'm going to post it in the comments. I'm going to put my phone number, my email, my Facebook, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put every way to get a hold of me on the comment section. So by all means, don't be scared to reach out.
Wonderful. Absolutely, guys, and reach out to this young financial professional. Get your financial advice, get your investments and retirement in order, and come and see what Team Gitmo, Giants in the Making, is all about.
Yes, ma'am.
Just before we get out of here, I just want to thank you so much, Alyssa, for coming back onto the platform and doing another interview with us. like everything went smoothly. So wonderful.
It's good.
Um, any closing statements before we get out of here?
Um, you know, and this comes, it's a personal thing. Don't be scared to try something different. It's okay to get out of your comfort zone because you never know. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Um, hey, and chocolate is most of the time sweet. So.
Ooh, yes.
All right. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Watch replays of this interview and others on our YouTube channel, Black Balance Fitness TV. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay physically, mentally, and spiritually fit. Have a good night.